Good afternoon and welcome to Brave Embrace. It is a beautiful day here in the Midwest, and I have two amazing guests with me. You met Brenda Ringwood earlier this year as she joined us and shared her amazing story of overcoming and finding her brave. And I have a good friend of hers and a wonderful new friend of mine coming from Indiana, Shelly Bays. Welcome, ladies.
Glad to be here.
Very good to be here.
I'm so glad to know you both. So, Brenda, you introduced me to Shelly, and we've had a good time getting to know each other because we're all three going to be at an event together in August. Is that correct?
That is correct. August 20th through the 22nd in Overland Park, Kansas. And it is going to be mind-blowing and life-changing.
I cannot wait. And so this is all centered around becoming the best you can be. And
Yes.
as we love to talk about the stories of bravery and inspire brave on this show, we're going to dig into Shelly's story and hear how she worked hard to overcome some experiences in her life and is now a very successful life coach and business coach, bringing all of those inspired thoughts to people and to help them find their brave.
She does a wonderful job with everything she touches.
Well, I am so thrilled about that. So, Shelly, if you don't mind, we're going to dig in here a little bit, and then I can't wait to hear stories of how Brenda, and you know each other. So, Shelly, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, first, thank you for having me today. It is really a pleasure and an honor to be with both of you and speaking to this audience. And when you and I had an opportunity to speak yesterday, I felt like I was meeting a new sister. And, everything for me in my life is about relationships and connection. And so my story, we all have stories. We all have things that we have been challenged by, that have been obstacles. And we have found ways to either dig under, hop over, or go around so that we can continue down the journey, the path that we want to go down. So I'm originally from Kansas, moved to Indiana 8 years ago to marry my now husband. And so that was a journey in itself, blending two families with children ranging, we have 7 children between us, ranging in age now from 18 to 33. So we love to, we're pretty adventurous. We ride motorcycles and we do lots of crazy things. So we just try to stay active and all those fun adventures always come with some kind of, I call them detours.
Yes.
And we're kind of known as the detour couple. Something happens on every trip or, everything that we're doing. So that just makes it more fun.
You've learned to pivot in those situations, huh? I love that.
Oh, definitely. Sense of humor helps too.
Yes, true. And with, the range of kiddos and I'm sure other family members, holidays and things around your house are probably crazy as well, huh?
They are, and they're getting crazier because as we have more grandchildren and children going on their own paths and moving in different directions into different states, we're trying to figure out maybe a central place more for our final retirement home. But our plan is to become travelpreneurs. And so with life coaching and business coaching, I do a lot of that virtually. And so that does allow for us to be able to go on the road, and I'm still able to bring value to people, which is what lights me up.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Encouraging and finding that brave. I know when Brenda and I spoke, a lot of the things that many of us have experienced in life cross over into our work or into our family relationships. And so it's really nice to have those kind of friendships or those encouraging relationships to be able to find, that hope, help find the hope when those things, go on. So I know that you shared with me that life growing up, was challenging in some ways. And you found the strength to persevere partly because of things that you've overcome as a child, right?
That is true. My parents were very young when they had me and my sister, who's just a year younger than me. My mother was 16 when I was born and turned 17 2 days after I was born. A year later, 10 days after my first birthday and her 18th birthday, I had another sister come along. So my mother was, and this was in the early 60s, so my mother was a stay-at-home mom. However, she was very, very young and really didn't have the skills to deal at that time with two babies. And then growing up, it was tough. My mother will admit now that she was very abusive, physically, verbally, emotionally. And so I became a people pleaser out of that. As after all the work I've done on myself, trying to figure out why I was making the choices I was making and why I wasn't getting where I wanted to go in life, it finally, I figured out that I was trying to be a people pleaser. And the best thing that happened to me, God really touched my heart and showed me that my mother was doing the best she could with what she knew at the time. And that allowed me to forgive her. And she and I have an amazing relationship. We are best of friends. And she would say that my forgiveness of her allowed her to forgive herself for the things that happened when we were kids. Wow. So, yeah.
I have chills all over. You said so many insightful things. And if you don't mind, I'd like to unpack for a minute the idea of you using kind of that people-pleasing style as a coping mechanism during those years. How did you come to understand that that was something that was maybe a barrier to you instead of a pathway?
Well, I'm very driven. I'm the oldest of three. And so I kind of follow that tree. The oldest is the one that's typically the more natural leader, very determined. And I am all of those things. However, I kept making choices that would self-sabotage. And when you're more interested in pleasing someone to avoid conflict than you are charging forward with your plan or through that path, that's very self-destructive behavior. And so once I figured out that that's what I was doing, then I was able to do some work on my mindset and the negative thinking that I had based on all the things that I had heard about me from someone else who I loved very much. And, that's a trauma that too many people have, are told as children things that are not encouraging, that are extremely harmful to the subconscious mind. And unfortunately, those things get anchored and we don't even realize it. And then as a teen or an adult, we're making choices based on rules that we have about ourselves that we've adopted from someone else.
Oh, those seeds that someone planted in us were actually more like weeds than you're saying. And so it kind of has clogged up us being able to find, that inner self in a positive way. That is so insightful. And you said mindset. And it reminded me when I was visiting with Brenda. Well, first, forgiveness was a big piece of her story as well, right? But I remember her talking about changing her mindset at one point, and it allowed her to really open and see hope again. Do you mind going there for just a minute, Brenda? Kind of about that mindset switch for you?
Absolutely. With me, coming out of being incarcerated and that embarrassment and the humiliation and just knowing that you had wronged people and the things that had happened, it makes you doubt yourself. It makes you want to just go hide. And I had to force myself to change the way I was thinking about that because it's in my past. I needed to use that to propel forward and to try to make a difference, and not to make a difference to try to make up for things that I have done, but to try to better myself. And if I can better myself and help others at the same time, then I can make a difference. And I had to really focus my mind on that I had a value, that I had a worth, I had something to say that was worth hearing. And there are a lot of people that have been in my shoes, and they walk around with their head held low. They hang their head in shame. And if you truly have changed your life and you truly are wanting to make a difference, then be proud of that, because you have overcome that thing that was putting you in a corner to begin with. And that was life-changing for me.
Yeah, I can see this. And I know at the event when, we'll each have a chance to share even more deeply about our stories, that transparency and honesty, I think is so important. And Shelly, when we talked, I loved that about you. You were willing to really say the truth and own things. And boy, I can see as a coach how supportive that is, and how you can help people and benefit them by giving them permission almost, to face that. So when did some of those truths come to you, Shelly? How old were you?
Well, with my relationship with my mother, I was about 19. And so I feel very fortunate that I had that epiphany at a young adult age, so that our relationship was at a point where it was still repairable and was able to flourish. And it's so, it's so freeing when you realize that other people aren't necessarily, I think sometimes we get caught up in thinking the world is against us, that people are against us. And the reality is, I think 99% of the time, they just don't know any better.
That's
and
true.
So they can't do any better. And where the real responsibility comes in is when you do know better, then you must do better. And so when I did understand that my mother did the best she could based on how she was raised and where she was emotionally and mentally, she was still a child when she was having children. And I can't imagine that. It was hard enough having them when I was 24, 25.
Yes.
So I was much more mature.
Right. And had skills to understand that. I don't hear a lot of like blame or even bitterness in your story. And I love that, because I know that like you, or like me, excuse me, even in adolescence and in through college and life, there were other things that came against you and people that reached out and hurt you. And so do you feel like the first step of understanding and forgiving your mom allowed you to feel, the strength to move through other hard things?
I definitely do. And there was also a desire in me for personal growth. And with personal growth and understanding yourself comes strength and the ability to be vulnerable, the ability to be more transparent, and the ability to be much more authentic. And I feel like I've had some amazing opportunities and blessings in my life that really did probably come from some of those really not very cool things that happened to me. Because I learned from those things. As you and I spoke a little bit yesterday, and I don't want to go clear into that. I'll kind of save that maybe for another time. But a situation that happened to me in college. And, it was a different time than it is now. But I have a lot of empathy for women who have been in situations where they have been abused in some way and that just, it's a big thing for me, being able to have not only survived it, but thrived through it for the rest of my life.
Oh, it makes me tear up. I can hear in you how hard you worked and fought to turn that for good. And now you're pouring into people every day helping them better their life and encouraging their souls, strengthening their businesses. That is profound, brave right there. And how did you and Brenda connect in the first place? I know you had kids that were maybe around the same age. Is that kind of where the connection happened?
Originally, yes. So my ex-husband and I had moved to Lansing, Kansas in 2001. And my youngest biological son and Brenda's daughter and her sons wrestled, my youngest son wrestled. And so had always been one of those football moms who was like, oh, the wrestling moms are kind of crazy. Until my son started wrestling. And then I became one of the crazy wrestling moms. And that's how I really met Brenda at first, was through wrestling. Our sons wrestled together.
And did you guys instantly kind of bond on maybe some of the areas where trauma had entered your life? Or was that something that was on the outside of your relationship, as far as the talk about it and sharing and all of those kind of things?
I don't think that really came along for actually a couple of years. We were both raising families and very involved in our kids' educations and their extracurricular activities. And, Brenda was building up businesses. I was building a business, and I was very active in the community. I had very active in the school district. I had run for school board and very blessedly was elected twice. And so I also was involved in the Chamber of Commerce. I was involved in a lot of things civically, because I believe in giving back to the community that I'm earning my living in. So, and Brenda's the same way. And it was through all of that, we just got to spend more and more time together, and then had some mutual opportunities to work together. And then, it just kept evolving. And then when I went into coaching, I did some work with her real estate firm. And it just kept building from there. Worked with the other company with her, and which is how she knows I can speak, because she's seen me in front of some pretty scary people.
Pretty scary people, huh? Standing on stage. So here, for those watching and listening in the future, I want to point out that I have these two amazing women that are willing to pour back into their communities, pour into the schools, the churches, pour into people, in spite of having gone through these difficulties, and using that and feeling you're good. And there's so much in front of you about that. And it's one of the things about this event that'll be so exciting, I think. There's how many speakers again, Brenda?
There's 14 speakers.
14.
Speaking for shorter time frames than some of the others, but these people have overcome. There is a guy who, Toriano, lost his son to gang violence. He was murdered at the age of 15. He was part of that community in that life prior to he moved out of it. He's now working with the Kansas City Star as one of their editors. He gives comments, and he gets to judge, what's being written and stuff, and make edits to it. So he's really overcome that tragedy. Mm-hmm. And then Jeff was in a car wreck. He was in a coma. He had to teach himself how to walk, talk, eat, all of that again. And he goes out and he gives back. He goes to the local schools. He's written a journal about how to make every second count. And it's a 15-hour journal designed basically for youth. And he goes into high schools and stuff and tells the story about making every second count, because you never know when it's going to be your last one. And then we have you, of course, who's going to talk about your tragic incident that happened to you and how you have overcome. Look at you now. Look at what's going on in your life, and you still love people and you forgive. And that is a tremendous thing. I'm telling you, forgiveness is not easy. And when you can do that and move forward, it will change your life. Absolutely will change your life. And then we have Dr. Reuben West. He goes into other communities in other countries. Right now he's in Africa. He donates his time. He donates money. He's in a building project right now to help their community. He's an author. He speaks internationally, got several books out, and he likes to talk about living your best life. not letting the past dictate what your future is going to be. He's also a Les Brown mentor. Him and Les Brown are very close. Les recommends him to speak. So that comes just right there, says wonderful things about Dr. West. And then we have our DJ, who is Dr. Michael Freeland. He's been a DJ for years. He's also a speaker. He's going to be speaking, telling his story. He had some serious health issues that were very rare and how he's overcome that. He's going to be doing the music. He's going to be performing at the Black Tie Affair that we're going to have on Saturday night. And you will get fed several times throughout this event. But the thing about the Black Tie event is we're going to have a stand-up comedian, and that's Jeremy Nunez. And like you said, when we had our speaker meeting, everybody else speaks and I have a little bit of comedy. He's going to do a little bit of speaking with a lot of comedy. And he was a mayor of a small town. He's got a book out called You Can't Write City Hall about being the mayor of a small town and the politics and the issues that go along with that. So that's just phenomenal that he was elected mayor, and you'll have to come hear a story because it was accidental.
Oh, I can't wait to. Sounds like a great Netflix series.
It really is. And then we have a musical, a gal that just graduated K-State about a year ago, who is going to do a classical music performance there for us. And then we're just going to have networking and stuff. And then we've got Chris Cook, who has no arms and legs. And he was raised on a farm. His family didn't treat him any different. He had to do chores. He plays sports. He does not let him affect what he does in his life. And he talks about, if I can't, why can't you? So he's just got a very powerful story. And there's just the list goes on and on. Alan Little's going to talk about, he's also a coach. He's going to talk about listening to that little voice in your head, that gut, that you should be listening to what your own brain is telling you to do. And then Terrence Leftridge, he is a coach, but he likes to talk about being accountable. And we all need to be accountable. We need to be accountable for our actions, what we say, what we do, how we handle things. Shelly's going to talk about communication, which plays right into that. And then we just have so many people that are going to share not only their stories, but what held them back, and then how they move forward to be successful. And success isn't about money. Everybody, our world thinks that success is about money, and it's not. It's about being happy. If you are doing what you love to do and you are happy, everything else will fall into place. Nothing says you have to have a 6,000 square foot house or drive a Cadillac or a BMW or whatever car you like. You do what you can afford and you live life to its fullest. And if that means downsizing, that's okay. Right. And that was a hard lesson for me to learn.
And coming through your experiences and trying to see where you can find joy again, how you can build that. Right. I mean, it sounds like, Shelly, you have plans with being a travelpreneur. I think that sounds so fun. But choosing to again, build people up and choosing not to let these circumstances that we've all been entangled in define us, I think is a powerful component. And so, Shelly, when you're coaching and sharing and building up your clients, I think especially now in this time of turmoil in general, in every kind of area of our world, do you find that you spend time reflecting on the things that you overcome? Are there lessons that you took away, or like a mantra, however you say it, that it builds you back up so that you can feed others?
Oh, I am a big believer in that everything that happens in my life is a choice. And I choose which direction I'm going to go. I choose in the morning what attitude I'm going to carry throughout the day. I coach people, no matter whether it's business or life, which they really do intertwine, that gratitude is the key. That if you cannot practice gratitude on a daily basis, you're going to be challenged more than if you did.
Yes.
That when we can see, one of the things that I just really encourage people to do is to write down 10 things every day that they are grateful for, because that gives us the ability to look and see what is good, even on bad days. And that one day doesn't define our life. One day is one day. And so we can have bad days. I have bad days just like everybody else. I have really bad moments. I ugly cry when I cry. Things happen. Life happens to everyone, no matter who you are, where you live. Things happen. It's our choice in how we react to those things that determines how quickly we can move through something and what we learn from it.
I see. So that is a takeaway. I think that is so bold, yet so simple at the same time. I love what you said about seeing something that's good, even if it's one or two things, to just really hone in on that life is still for you. I think that you were sharing that in the beginning. One of your leading principles is that you feel like really life is working for you and not against you, even when tough things happen. I know that you shared that you're in a blended family now, but during those times of your marriage, was it difficult to lean on that as a principle, even though that you believed that, but that things were happening for you good, even when they were difficult?
Well, I don't know if I was born with a happiness gene that was like just extra ramped up or what. And Brenda can attest to this.
Yes.
But I have just, I make it a choice. It is a daily choice. I have it it's habitual now to be happy, to find happiness in situations. And my ex-husband of 23 years was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia with a additional diagnosis of narcissism. And so it was a difficult life at times. And I just really always felt like that I was going to be okay. No matter what happened, I would be okay. And I think it's because I developed that habit of finding something to be grateful for every single day, way back when I was 19 years old, and probably even before that. Having someone, if just one person believes in you when you're a child, it makes a huge difference in how you can move through life. And even if you don't have that as a child, that's what we seek as adults, is someone to believe in us as much as we want to believe in ourselves, because that's where a lot of people get blocked, is they don't really believe in themselves. And so we got to find somebody to believe in us. And thankfully, you really can do that, and overcoming challenges, because here's the reality. Nothing that is great in this world ever came about by a single person. It came about because of teams. It came about because people came together and solved problems.
And they stood for what they believed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it sounds like you both have had these journeys of little hills and valleys. Would you both say there were times that were up and times that were low, but you were willing to make that choice, Shelly, and I think the same is for you, Brenda, to keep walking back up that hill. So
absolutely. And with Shelly, I need to say her name shouldn't be Shelly; it should be Love, because she talks about her ex-husband, but she really did try to make that marriage work. She really did, and she loved him. She'll tell you that. But I see, just, she loves life. She loves people. She loves her family, and you know that when you're around her. So when you have love, you have happiness, and you can get through anything. And that's, she tries to do that. She tries to instill it in her family. She's there for her kids, and you see it with her and her husband now. They are in love. They are happy. And I'm so happy to see that. And I want that for her. But I also want it for everybody that wants and needs that, to find a way to find love, to find happiness, and to find how to forgive, because they all go together. They all go together. And that's what we're going to try to teach you. I'm not going to say try, we are going to teach you how to do this at this event through these people who have a history of overcoming, who have a history of negativity and violence and medical issues. And I was diagnosed with cancer in 2011, and I did not let that stop me. I lost my hair. I did everything that goes along with that, had surgeries, radiation, chemo. I still suffer a lifetime of medical issues because of that, but life still goes on. And I'm very blessed because I'm still here. It's been 10 years. And I learned a lot going through that about how many people loved me. And when you have people that care about you, that want you to do well in life, like Shelly said, you have somebody who believes in you, you are unstoppable. And that's what Terrence Leftridge talks about. He is called Mr. Unstoppable. And he wants you to be unstoppable. And it is phenomenal that other people want that for you. It is true. People want to see others happy. There's the ones that don't, but you know what? You don't need to have them in your life either.
Yeah.
You don't have to accept that.
Mm-hmm. Do you both believe there are seasons in life where some people are very, pivotal, and then other times where it's almost like you prune and your relationships change, and as you grow and move through? Yeah, I felt that before as well. And walking into this season and meeting you, which, by the way, I'd like to be on the front row when I hear you two speak, because these messages, I'm just soaking them in. The love, the forgiveness, these are some basic principles, but they get lost. And back for a minute to Shelly, when you talked about the message that children often get, or when people say hurtful words, what strategies do you both use to change that self-talk, the mindset? Do you, again, what kind of ways do you work through those?
You want to go first, Brenda?
Well, it's up to you. I can go first. With my own children, I always tried to give them the confidence that they needed to be who they needed to be. And I've done a lot of, I taught high school for 3 years, and I taught lots of Sunday school and stuff. And they need to feel, just like Shelly said, that somebody does root for them, that somebody knows that they can do it, and to give them that confidence that they need. And that one person can change you. That one person. My person has always been my mom. My mother has always been a big supporter of everything that I do. And if you can pass that on to children, even adults, they're going to win too, because they're going to come back and they're going to talk to you and they're going to ask you those questions. And if you can give those right answers and truly mean it, and then they see you try to live by it as well, then they're going to build that confidence in themselves. And that's just been my personal experience. Sometimes it's easier to talk to non-family members than it is family. And if you are in a teaching position or a coaching position or anything like that, then you need to be prepared to have those one-on-one conversations with those people.
Totally agree. My children have grown up with a mom who has been leading and teaching and others for most of my life. And I'm their mother, so it didn't matter till they were 25.
Yeah, had any weight until they were adults. I get it.
But their friends would come over, and I would be that person for them. And my children, believe me, they know how much they are loved and how much I believe in them and how much I encourage them to follow their own passions. I think one of the things that was really pivotal for me was I had someone ask me to coach their child in a sport. And it was because her daughter wouldn't listen to her, but she would listen to me.
Yes.
And that kind of was like, there might be something to this. So, I actually had friends that I would have talk to my kids, and I would talk to their kids about things that were important. I really do believe that because I somehow figured out early on in life that I didn't have to follow all the rules that had been embedded in me as a child and as a teenager. I'm very much a challenger. Some people would call me rebellious. but I try to do it in a nice way.
There you go.
That I challenge the status quo. I've always been the person kind of on the fringe. I do love people.
Mhm.
What was that, Brenda?
That you challenge everybody you talk to.
I do.
Yes, you will put it in a way of, is that, let's think that through, let's talk about this. And she gets you thinking about, okay, am I really making the right decision? But she still lets it be your decision. And you walk away and you go, I'll be doggone, Shelly just did it to me again. You don't realize it at the time, but that's the type of person she is. And she genuinely, she'll tell you the truth, like it or not, she's going to tell you the truth. And that's important, to speak the truth. If somebody asks you that opinion, you need to be ready to give an honest answer, not sugarcoat it, not try to be their friend. You need to give them an honest answer, because they are coming to you because they trust your opinion and what you're going to tell them. So she does that in her coaching. And if you go to her website, you need to look her up. You need to hire her, because she's going to build your self-esteem. She's going to grow your network, and she's going to make sure that you become what you want to be.
Thanks for that, Brenda.
I
do. I love people, and I love to pour into people. And I feel that all of the challenges that I have overcome in my life have allowed me to have a message that I can bring. And I absolutely believe this. Every single person has their own answers. It's my job as a coach to help you to dig in to find your answers that are true for you.
That's really profound. So is this like an intuition or the inner piece that's in somebody that gets kind of lost? Just to help me understand that a little bit more. And you're helping them see what's already inside of them, the abilities, the strengths, the having what it takes already.
That and more. That and absolutely more.
Wow.
It is about, I love that term you used earlier, unpacking, because that's really what it's like. It's like unpacking a suitcase. And when I'm working with someone, it's not what I think about the situation is, as far as life coaching goes, is really not important. What's important is what they know and within themselves. Brenda just talked about, we have a speaker that's going to talk about that intuition, that inner voice. And, we become fearful of listening to our gut instincts. And part of that comes from outside of us. Part of it comes from when we are not intentional in our personal growth. We start to navigate the world and be told we're wrong, or that's not the right way to do this in the workplace and in marriage and in, parenting. Someone's always telling us we're not doing it right. So we start to question ourselves. And it's really vital that we go back and relearn how to not only listen to our gut instinct, but to act upon it. And then a big part of what I do is help people to understand themselves so that they can not just communicate, but connect with other people. And unfortunately, most of us are pretty ego driven. And so we are trying to be understood in a conversation rather than seeking to understand, as Stephen Covey says. First we seek to understand, then to be understood. When you're seeking to understand someone else and where they're coming from, then you can actually connect with them in ways that make them feel safe in that conversation and give us the ability to really connect in ways that help them feel valued. And in turn, then we feel valued. And we can have much better conversations, develop solutions that more quickly, and that are going to be more about the whole rather than a one. So I could go on forever.
love it. It just, again, makes me want to make sure I have a front row seat. I'm just taking so much away. But I had a thought. So has coaching changed in 2021, maybe from what it's been like before, after so many people had isolation and had, just inner struggles with watching everything that's gone on in our world, from the social injustices to, the pandemic, and just, are people showing up with some different thought processes now, or is everything urging to like the surface?
In my practice, 2020 was actually kind of the year of the coach, the life coach, I think, because people were at home and they had time to reflect. They had time to think about the future and what that's going to look like. And there was a lot of turbulence, as you just talked about, and people really needed some assistance in learning how to navigate things, because we get so caught up in living daily life. We just are on this little track. I get up, I get showered, I get my kids up, I make sure they got breakfast, I get them on the bus, and I go to work. And then I work all day, and then I come home and I fix dinner, and then we do the laundry or we do homework. And 2020 obviously completely turned everybody upside down.
Yes.
And so it really created, I think, an awareness that people really started really seeing that they need to slow down, that happiness is not on the track. Happiness is doing those things that make you feel connected to other people.
Right. So in finding ways, even during that isolation, to stay connected through relationships, and that's through loving people and allowing yourself to be loved. Brenda, you mentioned that after your experience of incarceration, kind of some of the embarrassment, and I think before you used the word shame, I don't want to put that in your mouth, but I think that was something you said,
right.
Just dealing with all of those. How did you find the strength to love yourself again and forgive yourself?
Well, I talk to a lot of people that are coming out of incarceration. I still talk to folks that are incarcerated, and I needed to take the advice that I was giving them and apply it to myself, because I could see it with them, but I couldn't see it with myself. So I had to really dig in and forgive myself. And when you do that, then you can also forgive others. And, some things are not in your control, but I will tell you that the Holy Spirit changed my being, changed my heart, changed my mindset. And when you have him on your side, you're not going to fail. And that really is what my story is change, and change from the inside out. I have went to folks that even if I didn't wrong them, but they thought I did, I have tried to make amends with them. Some of them we still talk, some of them we don't. If they want to be part of my life, wonderful, that door is open. If they don't, I'm not going to bug you, but I've at least went to them and tried to make things right the best I could. And that was hard. It was hard going face to face, and I did it face to face. It wasn't email, text. I mean, I texted them and emailed them to try to get to talk to them, but I did it face to face. And it was hard, because some people didn't want to accept that I had changed. Some people did. And you just move on from that. It's okay. That's okay. It's okay that not everybody likes you. It's okay that you are doing what's best for you. And when I decided that I needed to do what was best for me, and to leave the past in the past, but take the lessons that I learned to move forward, that I could still do and be who I wanted to be. And it's like I said earlier on the previous show, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because my life, I was making money. I had thought I was doing everything that I wanted to do, but I was miserable. I wasn't really in the jobs that I wanted to do. I've been wanting to help people all along. I've been wanting to speak. I wanted to write a book, and I couldn't do that because my life was so busy, and I had to stop. So when I came out, I vowed I wasn't going to go back to that life, regardless of how poor I was, not having a job or anything else. That I was determined to do what I felt in my heart needed to happen for me. And I've started a ministry with incarcerated people. It's also turns into a discipleship when they come out, because if you're not willing to help them and to grow them, then what's the point?
Mhm.
So it doesn't stop with just sharing the gospel. You got to continue to disciple and educate them, because life is going to happen for them.
Mhm.
And you need to prepare them for what's ahead, because I've already been through it.
Mhm.
And that's some of the stuff that I do now as well. And of course, all of that is without income.
So these days when things are hard, and Shelly, you mentioned those days when things aren't going as well. What do you both use to encourage yourself and to get yourself back in that right mindset?
This might sound silly, but I give myself permission to have a pity party, but I put a time limit on it.
Mhm.
And once my time limit is up, then it's time to move on.
Okay, I love that. Yes, you just give in.
I gotta
Surrender.
feel all the feelings,
Mhm.
no matter how good or bad they are. If it's something that I'm having a pity party about, it's because either I've made a poor choice, or a choice that or someone has said something or done something that I took personally. And that's another big thing about that I try to teach others and also use myself, is to not always take things so personally. People don't think about us as much as we think they do.
True. That's true. And one thing I learned is people also are not always against you like you think they might be.
Yeah.
Some people are actually in your corner and want to see you do better.
Yes.
And those are the type of people you want in your life. That's who you
Absolutely.
want. I am going to have to hop off because I'm on vacation and we've got a thing to go to. But I wanted to make sure everybody knows to go to www.comechangeyourlife.com for the event. You can hear blurbs from the speakers. You can read their bios. It'll tell you the schedule of it, the pricing. Right now we have an offer. It's $3.99. You get 5 free books with that. It's only good till the 15th of June. And then the prices are going to start going up because we have to buy food and stuff. And the closer we get to the event, things start getting more expensive for us. So get your tickets now. It's called Come Change Your Life on the website, because that's exactly what we want to do. We want to help you change your life. And even if your life is going perfectly right now, I guarantee you there's an area that you are struggling with. And through that, you're actually going to even get time in breakout sessions with some of these folks that are going to teach you, where you can ask questions, and then they're going to be there for the whole event. So you can catch them on the side and say, hey, how did you do this? You can have one-on-one conversations with them. That's what we want to do. And we have a lady there that does everything book writing. She's a editor, she's a publisher, she does ghost writing. She's going to be there doing a breakout session talking about her story, and if you want to write a book, how you can do that. And there's just so many opportunities here. And then the networking, there's going to be so much networking going on Friday night, where you probably can make some pretty cool contacts, some business connections, maybe even meet some clients or new business. And that's what we want to do. We want everybody to walk away with something. We want you to benefit. And every one of these speakers, every single one of them, even Reuben West got on a call from Africa with us. We all talked about what we're going to speak about. They're all so different. They want to see you succeed. And that's what this event is about. It is about helping you overcome those challenges and being the best you that you can be.
Wow, I cannot wait. Thanks for joining us on vacation to get us pumped up. The energy's great. And wow, I'm just thrilled to have 2 friends like you. I can't imagine, a better way to go through life than to have this kind of inspiration and people that love and care about you. So I also say, come to the event, meet these other ladies and the rest of our speakers. But Shelly and I are going to continue. Brenda, thank you so much. And we will be talking soon, I'm sure.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for your bravery.
Thank you.
Yeah. Shelly, wow. So years that you have been taking all of your experiences and turning them to good. I just feel so happy when I think about the way that you've done that. And the reason that you've done that is because you just have this happy gene. And I think that we need to, make a little something to give out to people that's like the happy gene for themselves. But
I'm writing that down. I I think everybody has it. Sometimes it's just not turned on.
Yeah. I've kind of thought that as well when I've met people that seem stuck. And when I work a lot with survivors of sexual assault and abuse, I see that they get stuck in the hurt and the violation. And that forgiveness piece is really tricky. People sometimes feel like that means they have to forget or they have to maybe give grace. Talk a little bit about what you think forgiveness is, that you help your clients understand the benefits of it.
Okay, so to me, with my experiences that I've had, trauma related, with when I was young with my mother, I had a very traumatic experience when I didn't finish college because of a couple different things. This had to do with it. But learning and accepting some, I really, this is difficult for me because I don't ever want to see myself as a victim.
Mhm.
I want to always see myself as a victor.
Love
And that doesn't mean that something bad did not happen to me. It just means that I choose on how I'm going to relate to that situation. And I choose to relate to it as a victor who had a battle, and I've got the scars emotionally to prove it, but that I came out the victor because I do continue to move forward, and I do continue to try to be a light in the world for other people who've also had those battles. I was never in the military, but I have a son who is in the Army National Guard in Kansas. I have a bonus daughter who was in the Army and at Fort Campbell. Lots of friends because I come from, Lansing, Fort Leavenworth area, and also Fort Riley. And so I grew up with that. And I would never say that, I was in a battle like they were, maybe, but I was in a battle for my own mental health, my physical health, and my spiritual health. Through the traumas that happened in my life. And making the choice to be a victor was the biggest thing that helped me to move through all that. And then be able to hopefully help other people to see that forgiveness is a huge part of that. Forgiving myself for anything that I thought I did wrong that caused something to happen to me.
And you used a word that I think was fascinating, the way you choose to relate to an incident. So what I hear is that is your choice muscle right there. You're saying this happened, that is real and true, but how I relate to it, whether I choose to internalize it or I choose to own it or I choose to move past it, is where that choice comes in. That is so profound, Shelly. It's like it just pivoted it for me, spun it, that you can really choose how you absorb something that's happening. Wow.
You can choose. One of the things I don't remember where I learned this, but when someone says something to you, you do not have to accept it as truth. So if you say something to me and that is not my truth, then I don't have to accept it. I can thank you for your words, but say I don't accept that for myself.
Okay.
And that's starting, that becomes it's like a superpower once you figure this out for yourself, and creating boundaries and holding them that are healthy for both you and the other person. And but forgiveness for me is about freeing me. Because I can forgive someone who I can never expect. I will never see the men that violated me. I'll never see them in my life ever again. So I can't expect an apology. But I can forgive them because that frees me.
I see. that freedom. I just can visualize that, like you flying into this victory. The
Yeah.
word victor over victim just has so much strength in it. Like you said, a superpower, but that makes me think of choosing to be a victor over a medical situation, over a loss, over a violation, an abuse, an assault, even a relationship that's gone wrong. Choosing to stay in that place of victory and being the victor is a powerful mindset switch. Wow, you are great at this. Like, this is my own personal coaching area here. No, I'm so excited for people to take that in, and I really hope that they hear it. We're going to have this available as a replay, and I think there's so many things that you have brought to us today, in sharing your own story, but then how you've used that, and how you've used that to not only create a life that impacts others, which I really appreciate and love, but also one where you have so much joy that just exudes from you, and you show up like that for people.
Well, I'm just so honored to be sharing this time with you today. And I value people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is something that more of us should do, is value other people.
Yes.
And I just, I say this a lot of people know this about me. My daily prayer is that God just shines his light through me onto other people, so that, it's one thing to talk the talk, it's another one to walk the walk.
It comes back to that choice, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Uh-huh.
And I just want to be a light in the world. I want to help people to find their joy, find their happiness. I want to help people to find the success that is meaningful to them. I've reached the stage in my life where my life is much more about significance than it is about anything else. Significance and legacy are my two big words. And when I can help others, I feel that that's a significant contribution. And because I know that when they believe in themselves and they start overcoming challenges and seeing the happiness and the joy on the other side, they will also share it with other people.
Yeah, like the domino effect, huh?
Yes, it is.
Wow, that's really, really rich. Well, Shelly, I can't wait to meet you in person and share this conference with you that we're going to speak at and present and share our hearts and stories in August. And I know those watching can find the links to those. And I hope people will visit your website as well, learn more about you, working with you. But you have poured a lot into us today, and I want to thank you for that.
I want to thank you as well, and I can't wait to learn more about you and your story and see you at the convention as well.
Yes, thank you. Well, today, Shelly and Brenda and I have been talking about finding brave, inspiring brave in others, which they have both poured into and dedicated their lives to. And I want to thank you for that. These stories have been found in difficult and dark moments, and they're not always fun to talk about or hear, but it's important that we stand together, build relationship, and find the brave. So until next time, please be brave.